Welcome to Porch Play Chats, sponsored by the American Association for the Child's Right to Play, or more affectionately titled IPA USA. IPA USA is the USA affiliate of the International Play Association, and as part of our efforts to promote play, we do Porch Play Chats, and we have almost 300 of them that are free to you on our YouTube channel. And if you subscribe to the YouTube channel and are friending, I think it's friending us, on Facebook, every Monday, magically, a new Porch Play Chat will appear in your feed. So up in the screen, you see a big sticker that talks about, I played today. Yesterday, even though you're seeing this probably in January of 2026, yesterday was the International Day of Play. And so children all over the world were offered additional opportunities to lead their own play during that day. And so because you'll be seeing this in January of 2026, I want you to begin planning for June 11th of 2026 in order to participate in the International Day of Play. So be thinking about what you're going to do, and we'll, of course, give you more information from IPA USA. So I'm Deb Lawrence, and I'm president of IPA USA, and with me on the porch is Cameron Sprague. Hi, Cameron.
Hi, Deb. How are you?
Great. So I am so excited. Cameron is in Fort William, Scotland, and he is going to take us through the most amazing nature-based place for children. And he's going to talk to you all about it. So I'm very excited about what he's doing. So Cameron's been working with children in the outdoors for over 25 years while exclusively working for Stramash. I always say it wrong.
Stramash.
Say it again.
Stramash.
Stramash. So that my problem is I'm an auditory learner. So once it gets in my head, it never leaves. So he was the founding manager of the Stramash Fort William, where he led the nursery transformation from a 2-acre grass field to a dynamic child-led outdoor space, affectionately known as the Field of Dreams. In 2025, Cameron works as the head of nurseries for all of Stramash, helping to bring the same passion and magic of the outdoors to all of our settings. Cameron also shares his lessons and expertise throughout the world in his consultancy work and across Scotland, England, Lithuania. You have talked to me about that one, and Iceland, and of course the US. And he's a valued contributor of IPA World 2023, which is the last World Conference in Glasgow, and the next one is coming up soon in New Zealand in November of 2026. Cameron recently became a published author with his inclusion in the anthology book Born to Play. That's really interesting because that's Tam's, right? Tam's,
yes, it is.
Okay, yeah. Guess what? Tam asked me, or somebody asked me to write a recommendation for it, an endorsement of it, and I have that little book right on my couch.
That's so. I was planning on bringing you one in October, so that's he beat me to it. He beat me to it.
I'm so excited. So I haven't started reading yet. I'm waiting for when we're going on a trip and traveling, and then I'm going to take it with my little notes and I'm going to read and read. I'm so excited.
You'll need to tell me what you think of my chapter.
Oh, I cannot wait. Yeah. All I saw was Tam Bally and John McKendrick. I didn't see Cameron Sprague in there, so I'm excited.
Yeah. They shoved me at the back, It's just not like squeezed me in at the last minute. The naughty kids go in the back.
I haven't looked at the back of the book yet, so that's hysterical. Yeah, it just came in the mail. I was so excited.
Very cool. Very cool.
All right, so talk to us about Fort William and take us on this tour.
Okay. Well, I think so this is 11 years into our journey, and I think it's hard now for people to picture what it was, but it literally, think of a 2-acre football field. That is what it was. It was all grass. There was nothing here. My overused line was I was either really brave or really stupid, but everything was going to come from the children. And what we're going to show you around is a space that's been co-designed by children. It's been designed with children in mind by observing their play. But it's a child's space. It's their space, And what we try to have is a real community effort. So I'll try to point out things that parents have helped us with and stuff we've done with children and projects and things we're working on. But Juliet Robertson, who was a mentor of me, she's the one who started calling it a field of dreams, because I was always like, oh, we've got this idea, we're going to do this and do that. And yeah, I think that's what it is and what it's become. But I'm standing at the gate that actually parents leave from every day, but I'm going to turn my camera around so you can see the good stuff and not have to stare at this. And we'll just walk around and we'll show. So staff will be, we just finished for children at 5:30 our time, which was 8 minutes ago. So they're just buzzing around and cleaning up and stuff. So I think it'll be good because you'll see it with the play detritus and stuff from the day and all those kind of things. But yeah, and I guess we should say, Deb and I talked about doing this after Kim Adams did hers at Barron Park, and I was just like, oh, it'd be so cool to do this. So shout out
Oh,
to
and we're
Kim.
so excited. And I've been
Yeah.
to Fort Williams, and
Yes.
sometime at some conference, if we're together, people can ask me over a drink how that drive was up to Fort Williams when I was driving on the left-hand side of the road in very narrow little mountain passes. But I tell you, the scenery was, yeah. So I needed many drinks, even to tell the story. So anyway, it asked me about the drive, but it was so worth it and so beautiful. And Fort Williams Nursery School is just gorgeous. So here we go. We're ready.
Special. And you were rewarded with a very good tour guide.
I was absolutely rewarded with an excellent tour guide.
So this is essentially, this is where our office is. So this is essentially the view from my office window, which I don't think is too bad. But so this is our gatehouse. Our gatehouse is coming up to 5 years old, but a lot of our spaces evolve over time. And what this really came from was us wanting to take care of our parents, because they're trying to go to work and they're dropping off their children, and it's Fort William, which is the rainiest place in the UK, so it'd be chucking it down with rain and precipitation. So we created this space so that they could come in under shelter and wait for us to let them in the gate, so they're protected, but allows staff to have conversations. The kids leave their bags here. I've got my superstar Mari's helping close up. But this space lets us take care of them too. And then if you see a tree here, we planted it with the kids. So we've planted 5,000 trees roughly in total. We have 150 fruit trees. About 90 of those are apple. They're all heritage apple trees that are meant to be in Scotland. And this little structure we're looking at is called the hammock shelter. So this is different from when you came, Deb.
I was going to say that's new.
So the structure that was here was totally wiped out. We had a big storm called Storm Garrett that came in December in 23 and took us to our knees. But so we came back stronger. So the idea of it is just, even though it's an outdoor space, the children have this to come in and shelter, and we've got hedging and things behind it so they can watch the birds, and but they also can sit in and, we'll fill it with art supplies. Today it had like weaving boards, and they were threading and doing stuff, or just chilling out if they need to. Because we do need to think about the kids' rest, because we're not like a half-day program or anything like that. Like, children are here outside 90% of the time, and we open at 8 and we don't leave until 5:30. We had a structure that was a yurt, so that is totally different. But Deb, you would have seen the yurt, and this was the dome that was in the ceiling. And I didn't want to throw it away, so we incorporated it into this space, and the children lay in the bottom of the dome like little cats and bask in the sun. And we had an amazing amount of support after the storm. We had 63 volunteers that came here on a Saturday and just like beasted cleaning all the broken fences and stuff like that. And we had this structure rebuilt, and we had volunteers work to rebuild our new structure that we'll see in a little bit. But when we were cladding this and doing it, the children kept popping out of this corner here, and I was like, it'll be a shame to get rid of that because they love it. So I call it the little cat flap. But I think this is how our spaces can be responsive to children, because like they had that space, and we just made sure we kept that and honored that for them. So this space, I'm going to show you our viewing hut. So the viewing hut's for our pond. But maybe 4 or 5 years ago, we started thinking that a lot of places try to adapt their premises for children when they come. We're trying to adapt our premises for all so that we're ready for any child to come through our gate. Basically, we don't want the outdoors to mean that you can't come here. So we have had a successful placement of a child who has cerebral palsy and a walking frame, but our play spaces now, we think about how can we ramp up or move into them. So this viewing hut has the ramp into it, and you can see the kids have been mucking about in it all day, but they have all the identification charts and things like that, but then they can sit and chill out and view our pond. They bring in bean bags and little camping chairs and stuff like that. And then I'll show you our wildlife pond.
And then Cameron, I want us to go back and get a close up of the grid that's on there that makes it accessible in the dirt paths as well. Look at this grid that they have there. That's throughout every path. Yeah,
so you can see it. So and this is, we have 250 running meters in this section of the garden. And this was all laid by parents and children and staff on a Saturday a few years ago. And then we did all of it in a day and then laid all the gravel in a day. This project here was done by parent work and staff work. So this is our wildlife ponds. This was the first. So I don't think this had got long in when you came, Deb, but
no, it hadn't been there very long. And you had the fence around it and you had the viewing little hut. And so, I mean, I crawled in there and was fascinated by watching everything. Even then. See the plant.
Yeah, so the plants are really coming up. This was the first year we got tadpoles, so that was an amazing experience for the children. We had dragonfly larvae, we have diving beetles. So this is a really magical place. You can see on that little decking, there's a white line. So they just have to keep their feet behind the white line, and then they can lay down and look into the pond though if they want. But this was cool. Parents did the diggers. We lined it with cardboard underneath the pond liner, and parents took all the staples out. The fencing is all pallets that got taken apart, every slat by parents, and made all the nails out so we could build the fence. So we saved thousands and thousands by doing that. But it's a really magical space, and it's, we're constantly trying to become more about learning for sustainability by actually increasing the biodiversity of the site. So we have things like this, like our willow tunnels.
Oh, I love the willow tunnels. Yeah, they were so much fun. I have pictures of Emily inside of one. It's so pretty.
And this is only half the growth that will be on this willow tunnel this year. So we cut all the willow back when the trees go dormant, kind of November, December. And we cut a majority of them off. We weave some back to the structure to make it stronger. We use them to make charcoal on the fire with the kids. This is another one we have, a little just archway. This one's here because this used to be the old entrance to the nursery before we put in the gatehouse. But now the kids kind of just go down there and use the bench and stuff. We do lots of builds.
I think the big piece that is just amazing to me about this nature-based place is it is so magical. I mean, just to go through those willow tunnels is magical. And do they go? They go underneath that hut, that platform too, don't they?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, just think of the shade structures that you've already seen, and the protected places that you've already seen that children can investigate and retreat to if they choose to.
Yeah, and I'm definitely influenced by David Sobel's Children in Nature design principles, and we think about that a lot. Even the pathing, we have lots of little, the magical kind of cut through paths, but kids don't want to go in straight lines. And then the special places of how can kids disappear from us? Well, feel they've disappeared from us when they really haven't, So this is our loose parts store. So we just whatever we can get, creels, pipes, tires, bikes. And I think the staff wouldn't necessarily take everything in at the end of an evening. But if things are getting stale, then they'll maybe shove everything back into the loose parts store and then see what happens if the kids take it all back out. But
And I think
Yeah,
what's so beautiful about it is that I saw children going to the loose parts store and pulling things out and going and doing stuff with them.
yeah,
Or having left something there that they wanted to come back to. It was so nice. I was fortunate I was able to see it with children, which was um,
yeah,
amazing. We had a great tour guide.
yeah. You did. I miss her. I'm hopeful. We're having our one of the community things we do is a camp out to end our year. So that's not this Saturday, but the following one. So I'm hoping she will be here as our tour
Oh,
guide. That's so we do
you,
stuff like this.
oh,
So
this is new.
yeah, so I've been doing more and more of this on our sites of just fence posts put in with quick setups with carabiners of tarps so
Mm-hmm.
that you can do things fast and put them up. And I guess this is a little bit of the kind of stuff I'll show the workshop I'm doing in Bernheim on knots and tarps and stuff like that. Because for my staff team, I just want it quick for them to put up shelter and things like that. So because sometimes the kids do need it if they're out all day.
Mm-hmm. And this platform's new too, that what you're just walking across now.
Wow. So what we did is we put a second yard in. 2 weeks later, it blew down in that storm and got absolutely just trashed. So this platform is the remnants, but it's actually turned into, they'll read stories on it. The kids
I
like
know, I
act,
was gonna
do stuff.
say, I bet they'll
Yeah,
act things out there like a stage.
yeah, they do. But this had just come on massively since you were here. Like it's
Look at that.
this and this was 1,000. We transplanted 1,000 trees in a weekend, basically during COVID because we used to have more of the land near where we are, but we have neighbors now, which has been a very good thing for us, but they were going to cut all these trees down. So we're like, please let us save them. So I had this like massive mission of people working in bubbles and so we can move them. But that like the amount of bird life that we have in this site now is
Mm.
incredible because, we've done all the work to bring the trees in and, the ponds and just letting the way we let things grow and plant and do stuff. So yeah, it's fun now because like 11 years ago it was just like a vision and now it's here and there's still more to add and do, but yeah, it's
And how many acres now?
so it's just over two.
Mm-hmm.
um
And it's a lot. And
yeah,
I think what's so beautiful is you have different like zones, right?
yeah, and there's two main portions. Well, I guess there's three really. Like there's the first bit we were just walking around and we'll come back into that when we go around the tour, and this we call this section the garden, but it's very big. But then there's an adult only kind of space that the kids can't go to without adults and things like that. So if they want to come over, the staff either will make decisions to bring the kids all the way over here, or the kids might ask like, can we come over to the garden, and then the staff will bring them over, that kind of thing. So they
Mm-hmm.
have that flexibility and control of that hedge and those gates to move the children into spaces that they want, so that they have that freedom of movement, probably more than a lot of people would be comfortable with. But our staff are really good at like moving into spaces, and I guess Frobel has that phrase like freedom of guidance, and I think that's really what we're trying to do with our staffing.
I think
These
the
are all
swing set is new.
swing set is new. This
Uh-huh.
was donated to us, which we were really grateful by a local estate that had put it in, but no one was using it, so they just asked us if we wanted it. So that is grand. And then these are fruit trees. These are all cherry plums. And
Mm.
then at the end, they move into crab apples, but you can see like leftover shelters of kids putting tarps out and doing stuff. But I planted these in like I wanted that like vision of like when these are all full and in growth, that there's this little space for the kids to feel like they're hiding away from us, but really they're just on the other bit of the trees. So,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
then they'll be shoving their faces full of fruit when they all come up. Um, so this is So if you can see kind of in the distance, maybe there's like a stump of a tree. That was the only tree that was here, and it came down in that storm I was talking about. But we took all the branches and made a dead hedge. So this will break down, but it's also kind of helped boundary this part a little bit. At least you can see some of our apple trees. So we're gonna have,
You're
I've got
gonna
a
have
hundred
a
apple.
crop.
Yeah,
My
I've got 100
goodness.
apple trees like that. So they're all over. But yeah, we've got outdoor beds that they're growing in, and I like gathering places. So I like doing stuff like this where it's an old telephone pole, So we cut it all up, but instead of just putting them all at the same height, we put it varied height. So the kids can sit on it and do like a gather, but they also can go up and down and move about it. And it's got that kind of risk element to it. So I always try to like multi-think about spaces in that way. But we've got currants in here, and they've got potatoes growing, and there's strawberries and gooseberries. There's more apple trees in there. There's some round trees, but even like that, the trees there in that back line, those are Scots pines. So if you should be able to see cars from the main road going by. Like, we are fortunate to be right on the in a town. We're not like far off in the woods, which is what a lot of outdoor nurseries are like. But we've planted this double hedge on the other side of the Scots pines than the Scots pines. So we're disappearing from the world more and more. It's just like our space.
We're going to one of my favorite spaces.
Yeah, so this is our willow classroom. Wow, they call it the kit we bought. We bought it from a kit because I hadn't done willow stuff before when we first started. I'd be much more confident doing it without a kit now, but this was a kit that we bought. And we could have domed the top and like pulled all these in, but I just love that openness of the space. And
love it.
You know, and you can have fires in here, and we'll bring groups, but yeah, you just disappear from the world.
You do. And we were there in June, right? So it was, to me, it was denser, and because we were there about this time last year.
Yeah.
We're taping on June 12th. So
yeah. And I think it was it probably was a bit fuller out in terms of the bottom bit, but it's grown up that bit too, that some of the leaves and things are pushing out a bit higher. But like this bit was not anywhere near as high as this. Like this is, and this most of these trees are like edible trees. So there's like birch trees that you can eat the leaves. There's dog rose in here, so they'll get rose hips. What else is in there? Hazel. So there's like hazelnuts, you know, so there's like all that is like in these trees. So I'm gonna prune a bit on the sides, but we have that path to go through. But these hedges I love because this was when it was kind of like wild in the first year and we had so much space to work with, but the kids just drew pictures of the ways they wanted to plant hedges. So that's why they're like these really weird shapes, but they're like massive now. So, and like the camp out, we open up to anyone that stayed with us until they went off to elementary school. So my son's 14 and him and his friends are planning on coming to the camp out, and lots of other older children. But I love that they can come back and see their trees, and you know, parents can come back and remember like, oh yeah, I was here when we helped plant those ones. And you can just see there's more apple. It's just apple trees everywhere. I love it.
My goodness. How many people do you think will be at the camp out?
Sure, we'll have about 150 during the like picnicky part, and then about 50 will sleep over here. So here's a big hazel tree that we've planted. You'll love this, Deb. So I just worked on this last week because this, you talk about long-term planning. So I planted these trees 10 years ago, and I have the door. So you love the door.
I love the door. The door to nowhere.
Yeah. But the plan was always like, we've had this door, and then I planted the trees purposely in a spiral behind it. Oh. So this was the year I've opened up behind the door to nowhere.
Oh, look at that.
Into this space. So it's a wee spiral. So these are all, so these trees were all planted purposely with this in mind. And then you go around.
Oh my goodness, because when I was there, the door was just like in the middle of an empty field with grass around. Yeah. Oh, and look at the bench. Oh.
Got a wee bench. You can look out, and then there's all this above you. It's very peaceful and special, and so I love this kind of stuff. So we haven't I only did it last week, and we've been more in the other part of the garden, so the kids haven't been in there yet. So I can't wait when they find it, because we won't tell them. We'll just let them discover it themselves.
And that's what is so beautiful about this. And then I want you to talk, once we do the tour, I want you to talk a little bit about the play workers and how they manage that space, because it's beautiful.
Yeah. Well, okay. I'll do a little bit more of the showy bit, and then I can do that.
Yeah. Yep.
This is cable drums. I think Rusty calls them spools, But yeah, those are what big wires and electrical things will be on, but they're gold dust for us if we can get them. So yeah, we are quite adventurous in our builds, but that's been kind of developed over 11 years of practice.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a polytunnel.
Mm-hmm.
So there's lots of growing that happens in here. I can't take credit for any of the growing. Like I planted the fruit trees and stuff, and I know you have other sessions, so I won't go properly in, but you can see there's lots of stuff happening and growing. So the kids are involved in all that process. We have two really good gardeners on our team, and Mari and Hannah, so they take a real interest in it. But this is we call it our sleeping pod. We built this with the intention that kids could take naps in it. And actually, I think it's 7 years old now, but no one slept in it until last year's camp out when a couple of 10-year-olds slept up there in the top part.
Oh, I love it. And I love that ladder that gets them up there.
Yeah, and this is a real, I call it like a rite of passage that,
Mm-hmm.
not every child that leaves Stramash can climb it, but most can. And some do it their first day and others take 3 years, when that's the beauty of it. Like, the staff will support them, encourage them, coach them, role model, but they won't pick them up and put them into it. They want them to do it. And that's how we know they're safe, but also that's how they, develop all the skills they need to. So that's a big way in which we work. These are new.
Oh, those are. Yeah.
I
Do they
think
roll
like
them
these,
around?
well, these ones are kind of wedged right now, so they're not, but there's like a future project that we need to, I think we'll do with them better. But right now they're loving just climbing on them and doing stuff. Sleep pod can go up into as well. This hedge has gone crazy the last couple of years. So this is like, well, it's more like a thicket. It's a quadruple row hedge, it's gonna hide this electricity pole eventually, but it also it's so full of wildlife. These are dog rows. They're so beautiful right now.
Look how beautiful.
Yeah,
You
and
know what
actually
is
I'll
so
show.
nice about these hedges is it knocks out that traffic noise, right? And
Yeah,
but
yeah,
still leaves you the mountains, which are just
yeah.
gorgeous.
And and also like, so we've planted them to hide stuff too, but we've done like putting the buildings and a lot of the hedging strategically, because it will prevent the prevailing winds and stuff like that, and which will make the experiences better for everyone over time. And I think that comes from knowing our space really well and all the time we spent on it.
Mm-hmm.
But this is us back in that first part we were in. So this is the new structure.
Ooh,
So when you were here, this was a yurt,
yeah.
which a lot of outdoor kind of services use, but they're not really best for the west coast of Scotland, which is very damp and wet. So after that storm and we lost the structure, that was pretty devastating, but we got the work. And so this is like a 2x6 built timbers log cabin, really. So we're quite proud of it. We wouldn't have been able to do it to the level we did without the support of like volunteers. Our local sawmill donated loads of stuff. And actually the guy that built it, he was willing to work with volunteers too, to like reduce the cost. And he's amazing. He built our drying room as well. So he really, stepped up and helped us, which I'll go in and show you. But this porch was here. The porch was here.
Yeah. Yep.
And so we had a different structure that was here that burned down 7 years ago. So that was a big thing, but I saved some of the wood and we put it into here because we don't want to forget where we came from. Staff were efficient in locking up, so let me just open it. Please
Is
wait.
this the extra clothing room or the bathroom?
No, no, this is the porch.
Oh,
So
this
this
is
is like,
here we go. I see. There it
yeah,
is.
yeah. So we think a lot about transitional spaces. So all these jugs are we use these for hand washing. We can put Scottish regulations are we don't have to set water to a certain temperature. We have to have moving water, obviously, for hand washing, and it needs to be warm enough so that children would wash their hands for a minimum of 20 seconds. So we use these setups, and staff are very good at setting up and doing, but we have lots all over the site. So this is them tidied and cleaned for the night. But kids come in here and they take all their wet gear off.
Mm-hmm.
They've got this system now with the Velcro, so they just take pictures of the kids and put them on, so they can see them. The kids have slippers that they keep here, and then what we want. So this is the new build part.
Okay.
This is a disc from the tree that fell, the original tree that was here. But Norman, the builder, he really got it. So he put this big skylight in here, which I love. And you can see all the clouds. So we have the cloud identification chart in the hallway. And then we hope our vibe is more like a family home.
Mm-hmm.
We want it to be warm and inviting. And so it's lined with sheep wool insulation, so it's very eco-friendly. It's got infrared heaters, which is more eco-friendly, but they have the big adult couches. We have these trip trap chairs, which I don't know if you've seen those before,
Yeah.
but you can change the level of the base so that the children sit at the same level as the adults. So I love those. So we have those. And then, they do a lot of they bring in mini like tough tray spots and do clay, and we've got puzzles and games and all that kind of stuff. So it's it's like our outdoor practice is about children getting the benefits of outdoors, but it's like we're not about creating martyrs that we're standing in the rain all day. Like we're taking care of loving children. So on a February day that's -4, if they need to be in here, that's
Right.
okay. Like over the course of the year, they're going to be outside 90% of the time.
And so, Cameron,
And that's what's important to us. So
talk about the ages of the children that come.
So okay, so we're sorry. We're mixed age, 2 to 5 altogether. There's no separation. We opened the first year, we were only 3 to 5s, and we took 2-year-olds from our second year of operation, and I did a lot of like research and soul searching, and we decided to do the mixed age thing, and I'm so glad I did. I would never, ever, ever change it. This space we call the shed. So the back of it is just like our resource shed where the staff put all this stuff. So right now it's full of the balance bikes and helmets. So the kids just bomb about here in bikes and do stuff all day, and they'll have wheelbarrows and things like that, and then all kinds of other stuff. But then they do a lot of the meal stuff in here. So this part of the shed has you can see this material. I had custom ones built, so there's a front piece that can pop on and off, but just these little rivets, so they can just so they can do it really quick. So they can, contain it if it's rainy, and there's actually a hot air heater above, so they can warm it up for the children if they need to. So we are taking care of them, and this indoor spaces is I've got lots of plans in my head. Another space in the garden. We want to get bigger. We're very popular now. It's taken a long time to get to that point, but we are. More apple trees.
Oh my
Which I
goodness.
love.
I mean, I just don't understand why a parent wouldn't choose you, right? And I mean, it's a full day. It's an amazing landscape. The play workers are incredible, and
Oh, yeah.
I remember you saying one time that the parents say, "Well, my child won't want to be out in the rain all day." You're like, "No, you don't want to be out in the rain all day," but they like it.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I had parents that, we joke about it now. They moved up from London, very city life, and they moved here because they wanted a different experience for their children. And they said to me, "Oh, she won't sit in the rain." And I'm sitting out with her the first time it rained with her, and her hands were all wet, and she had touched the grass, and they were a bit muddy. And she looked at me, and I just like kind of shrugged at her, and then I just wiped my hand across my waterproofs, and she did the same thing, and that was her golden. After that, no problems. And
Yeah.
I've never had a kid that hasn't chosen to spend more of the time outdoors over the time. Some of them, depending on their own circumstances, might take a little bit while and what they're used to, but they all become hardy and love it. But I think we were the new thing, and sometimes the new thing people take a while to be comfortable with it, but we're so established now. And well, in the fairness bit, like 10 years ago, it was just 2 acres of grass. So there was a lot of me being like, this is the vision, you know, like I was just this guy kicking about in a field with, you know, power of persuasion, and people could see it changing over time. But like, it's an easy sell now. If you look at it, you know, it's those, you know, I have a real love and admiration for all the children who've been here, but those first ones were pioneers, you know, they were signing up for something that was going to become something different.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's so important to me they come back, like for the camp out. And then also for like we do bonfire night, which is 5th of November. It's when they do fireworks in the UK, that kind of stuff. So we have like 350 people here, but it's all like our people, you know, like our Stramash
Yeah.
families that have gone off to school. These willow trees have come up so much since you come. So they're now becoming little play spaces that the kids are hanging out in. They had a broken slide in here yesterday that was a bed and doing it. But so I love like how this kind of stuff is happening. And then I want to show, because these tunnels, they look just willow, but they're actually interspersed with apple trees. So we're going to tie them in so you can't, they're all apple trees along here.
Oh my goodness.
So you can see that. And it's actually, they're all going to get tied in. And then this one is all apple trees as well. And this will get formed and tied properly, but it'll be all hanging fruit and all the rest of it. And I love that. Oh, you love these. So these are we have kids that sleep outside in these. So this is Sleep Shack Mach 1. This one will be new from when you were here. This is Sleep Shack Mach 2.
Oh my goodness.
So so the staff just have like a quick setup boxes that have like insulated mats, and then they have sleeping bags, fleece liners, and then they just keep track of the times when kids are sleeping outside. But you know, some do sleep inside in the winter and stuff, but we do have kids sleeping outside pretty much year round. And then and see, I just love stuff like this. So they do this with the kids where just the normal wear and tear of the play, the grass was all going, so they reseeded all this, put the barriers around it. Now they've just moved them and reseeded this, so the kids understand that process of like us helping the ground recover and do things. And this is our bridge.
Oh, I love the bridge. And that's
So,
new.
yeah, and it's still yeah, it is, and it's still a work in progress. Where the pond was, there was originally a bridge, and I had to remove it to put in the pond. But the second bridge is much better. Like it's always like that. Like the next bridge is better than the first one because we just do it better. So, but I'm really proud of this one. It's nice and wide, so if we ever get children with wheelchair or things like that, they can do that. We've added this decking so that children can go and play, and kids put gutters and stuff up to here, and we have guttering on here so that they can move it and do whatever they want to do with it. They can put a pulleys off here if they need to. So it's like a thoughtful kind of play space. And then this is essentially is a mud kitchen, but you know, they just do lots and lots of things in here. And you can see it here. So that's another dog rose that I pointed out.
Yeah.
Can you see from like 3.5, 4 feet down, there's no flowers. And that's because all those flowers have ended up in the mud kitchen and all their cupcakes and recipes and things like that. So like we have our big loose parts that we bring in, like the barriers and the pots and pans and gutters, but now our space has so much natural loose parts in it that they have all these little bits and things to add to it. And then we're good at using pallets. It's another, just a bench we have. So they bring lots of books out, stuff like that.
Talk
So
about how people just drop off those pallets outside for you.
Yeah, so I think I'm known as like a bit of a womble. So people just show up with random stuff and are like, do you guys want it? So we do have a bit like behind the cabin where we store stuff. But the cable drums, like those big ones came, they were doing like an electric installation, and they were like got in touch with us and said, we heard you like to take them. And I signed a thing to say that I would be taking them on to like dispose of them. So we get lots of like free stuff that way now. And I've gotten all kinds, like the kayaks, like they just show up. They come just here. But
And that's big. So the three things I want people to hear is the space was designed intentionally.
yeah,
All those bushes, all those trees, all those windbreaks, all intentional forward planning. that community partnerships and letting people know what you're doing gets stuff donated to you for free that you can put in this beautiful natural space. And that the play workers do not guide children, right? So the play workers, I think, because I was able to be there with children, the play workers were zoned, right? And they had walkie-talkies. And so if a child was moving from one zone to another, what was so beautiful to me was that as they were moving from one zone to another, the play worker might be on the walkie-talkie saying, hey, so-and-so is on her way. She's heading your way. But every time the child was moving, any child was moving, they would hug the play worker's legs. They ran by. It's just so beautiful that, you know, if the children needed them, they were there. But sometimes just their presence, they just needed that little touch check-in. It was just beautiful, and so many children don't have that. You know, so many children have adults that are directing and guide and telling them what to do and where to go, and the kids were just free to explore and discover. It was just the most beautiful thing.
We all, like everything's an all, like we do rolling snack, we do rolling lunch, so kids can, you know, learn to when they're hungry and they can join in, and it's still a social thing because there's multiple children there. But you know, staff do plan activities based on what's going on, but I get we're trying to use the word experience. They plan experiences. So but it's, if the children want to do it, they don't do it. Like it's not like come sit at the table and show me that you can write your name. Like we're never going to do that. Like we're, you know, but if they say to us, I want to write my name, then that will support and help that. But
and because they're developmentally ready, and that's the other big gap that we have in the US. We think every 4-year-old should be developmentally ready to do this, when not every 4-year-old is developmentally ready yet. So it's those experiences and the understanding of where children are and following the child's lead and still expecting the child to follow the adult's lead, that is magical. And so I loved my time there. I still have tons of pictures of the site and the beautiful interactions that I saw between the play workers and children. How do you teach those play workers?
It's funny. So Jonathan McLeod and Susan Shablowski were just here because they were in the UK again. So
I'm so jealous.
I know, drilling my brain about this. I picked them up from Glasgow, so we had a 3-hour van ride talking about this especially. But so we have a few things going in our favor. So one, we have always done apprenticeships from when I started with Stramash. And Lindsay, who's now the head of this nursery, who Deb has met, she started
amazing.
She's a rock star. She actually just finished her childhood practice qualification last week, so super proud and chuffed of her. And she's been on this massive journey of, like, she started here straight from school and was basically only taught like this way to do things. So now we have this embedded culture, but the staff team here is 10 and a half FTE, and 6 of the staff are former apprentices.
And that's how you grow from within, right? You grow from within.
And I've always been passionate about that personal development for people. And I think that's like part of what my wider role with Stramash is now. Like I don't just have to worry about Fort William. I'm thinking about it for all 4 of our nurseries, and we're very fortunate because they're all very different places, but they're all really magical. And we have like these amazing people working for us, but it's a different ethos and culture than, you know, if you worked in a totally indoor nursery for 30 years, I think you'd just be like, what's going on? Where Lindsay is like, this is the way we treat children, and we value them and we respect them. And, you know, and like, we are lucky. The guidance in Scotland is pushing for this. And, you know, Scotland is a country that, you know, has ratified the UNCRC as law in the country, you know, so I feel very fortunate to work within that structure, but also like, this is the right way. This is what children are supposed to be doing. Like, it's not supposed to be any different way. Like, it really isn't. And you see the changes. Like you come here and our children are confident, they're capable, and yeah, maybe they're behind on their phonics, but when they go to school, they're like sponges and they're ready to learn once it's time. Like they don't need to be forced into anything. Like that bit of respecting childhood, I think, it gets lost sometimes because it's like we're trying to hurry everything up, and you can't hurry things up because they have fragile bases and they're not ready. And like we're trying to build the strong roots so that they're super ready and confident, and staff value that. And there's the John Bowlby quote, daring adventures can only happen from secure bases, and that sums up Stramash in a lot of ways.
Well, and I
Like,
think the other big piece is how parents see that allowing, and maybe parents choose the program because they don't feel comfortable letting their children do the things that they're able to do there. Maybe they don't feel, oh, I could never, I just remember some of the forced kindergartens in Finland and Sweden that have videos of the parents saying, I could never watch them climb a tree that high. I would be a nervous wreck. I couldn't do it. But they can come here and have that experience because I can't give that to them. Right. And so it's almost like the parents are using you as the tool to help their children develop with things that they just can't do or feel comfortable with. And so I think we have to honor that not everybody feels great when a child is climbing a tree, and not everybody, and it's all based on whatever happened to them, right?
Yeah.
So that risk taking is something that many children miss because teachers who are not used to working in nature-based programs have that fear of getting in trouble because a child got hurt, or don't want children to get hurt, and don't understand that if they prevent children from taking those risks that children choose, they are harming them where they'll hurt themselves more later. So it's it's that thing, that tension that we're constantly struggling with. And
I'm sure, Daniel, you and I talked about this in South Carolina, of this where people put their own personal perception of the activity onto the children and don't recognize the capabilities that the children have in themselves. And children are human beings, and human beings have an innate sense within themselves of danger, and kids get that feeling in the stomach and they can practice it and do it. But I have rarely seen a child where I'm like, you have put yourself so out of your comfort zone right now that you're unsafe. They might have gotten onto a step and been like panicked, but they're okay. Like they just need a hand down or something like that. But we do fire, we have lots of climbing, we have bikes flying around this place at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and we have very little accidents. I think we've had one collarbone fracture in 11 years, and it was a freak. He fell and his just had his arm straight, so he just did that, and like it wasn't even anything crazy. He was just kind of running around. So like it's stuff will happen, but that's life. Stuff is going to happen.
well, and I think if you think about one collarbone fracture in 11 years, you go, because what the children are learning is what their own capacity is for climbing high or balancing or whatever. It's not, we're saying, okay, everybody go up the slide today instead of down the slide. It's none of that is happening. Children are doing it because that's what they're being internally driven to do for their development. And lots of times we interfere with that, and then they don't learn those skills.
And I stand by I can tell you a nursery or preschool or child development center's approach to risky play, probably within 5 minutes of being around the children, because you can feel the difference. Like
you can see it and feel it. You're exactly right. Because they're hesitant, they're frightened, they're oh no, I can't do that. And sometimes it could be because their parents are fearful too, and maybe their parents had a fall. So there's that, again, we're placing our own feelings and fears onto children, which is not what we should be doing. But it's hard especially when you're a parent. Cameron, of course, this has been amazing. For those of you who hopefully will be coming to the October 22nd through 25th conference in Louisville, Kentucky. You'll get to meet Cameron face to face. And he's probably doing 3 sessions now at Bernheim on Friday. So
Well,
one, you're going to have
I
to
got,
just really
I
flex it.
gotta, yeah, I gotta keep myself busy, right?
Yes, you
Yeah.
do. So I said
Yeah.
to him, Cameron, you're doing 3. 1, 2, 3. You're going to be exhausted, but he can do
Well,
it because he's
I
great.
could do it. Well, I'm happy
All right.
to, and no worries. And yeah,
Sharing with that.
well, thank you, Deb. And I was just gonna say, and then if you really like the look of it, I think we're gonna try to do a residential experience in 26. So
Ooh,
I think you can follow and look out, but should be yeah, a fun Scottish experience. But if it all comes off, I think it'll be really cool. So yeah, follow and keep a lookout.
that'll be fabulous.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I love you and I'll see you soon.
Love you too, my friend. Good seeing you.
All right. Good seeing you. To learn more about IPA USA, please visit our website at ipausa.org. And until next time, keep on playing.